Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. So it is New Year's Eve and I just finished my very last book, 200 books for the year 2022. So way more than almost double my goal. And then I have compiled all of my 5-star reads and sorry, Mabel's here too. Again, all the licking, so much licking. So I've compiled all my 5 stars and I've kind of broken those into categories, so thriller, graphic novel, etc. Then I have my favorites for each month. And then I might do some superlatives, like best thriller, best series, etc. And then I will, on camera, decide my best book of 2022. Because, I don't know. And that's still going to be super, super hard to choose. So let's start with the 5 stars that weren't the favorite of the month. So I read a lot of graphic novels this year, which is very new for me. So my 5-star graphic novels were Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. So this is just a super seasonal, Halloween. Well, more fall because it's not scary. So these 2 best friends have always worked in the pumpkin patch, and it's their last year before they go to college, their last time. So they're running through the pumpkin patch, kind of trying to experience all of it and kind of say goodbye. And they're talking about moving to college, and it's just so cute. It's just very much perfect Halloween. So I will probably reread this every fall just to kind of get in the mood. And then I have Fence, volume 1, 2, and 3. So I just covered this in my December wrap up, but this is the story of the bastard son of a very famous fencer who's trying to become a fencer, without the name, nobody knows who his dad is. So he's starting out for the fencing team, trying out for the fencing team in his private school that he is now attending. And it's very good. They're super short, so this is 15-minute read. And yeah, I will be continuing to read the series. I loved them. And then there was another one. Sorry, there's a lot that I don't have physically. So The Magic Fish was another 5-star. This was a graphic novel. So it's this boy who, I believe his mother is Korean. And they're Korean, and that they live in America now. And so she's telling him these fairy tales about fish, mermaids, and kind of the backdrop of these fairy tales are actual family crises that are happening. So it was just really cute, sweet. Highly recommend if you are into graphic novels. And then my next genre, let's see, I'm trying to keep track of my physical and non-physical. Let's do a little historical fiction. So I read way more historical fiction than I normally do. I think just because some of the ones that I had been waiting for a really long time finally became available. So Lessons in Chemistry is hilarious, bizarre. You've probably heard of this book. So this is a woman in STEM, early days, I think 1970s. And so it talks a lot about sexism. There's lots of storylines in here. She has a cooking show where she cooks with science. And then her daughter is also trying to navigate life. Yeah, very entertaining. Lessons in Chemistry. This was a good one. And then very not funny, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. So I gave this one 5 stars as well. It is an incredibly depressing book. So depressing. It is based on the Great Depression, so that seems accurate. We got our theme, you know? But yeah, this, I gave it 5 stars because it was I couldn't put it down, even though it was awful. I was very invested in the characters. I wanted something to go right for these people. Yeah, so 5 stars. Good job, Kristen Hanna. And then I had The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. So this is the story of a female Russian sniper in World War II. I think a lot of times we forget that Russia was our ally in World War II. And so very interesting to see this from the perspective of a woman sharpshooter in Russia when like America was still kind of digging in their heels about being part of the war. So yeah, that one was great. And then I read The Rose Code, I think the next month. And this is about female code breakers in World War II. Yeah, World War II. And this one was also amazing. In both of these stories, there were like other stories also like happening and weaving through. So kind of like two storylines. And it just made it move very quickly. Yeah, I loved them. So good. Five stars. They're all 5 stars. And then just making sure there's no, okay, no. There's a lot happening up here right now. Trying to keep things straight. Okay, so we'll just kind of keep on so nonfiction. I read The Journey Toward Wholeness. So if you know me in real life at all, I have probably asked you what your Enneagram number is. I love the Enneagram. I think it just explains so much. So this is not the primer on the Enneagram. Like this is kind of like once you know your Enneagram, like how to use it for spiritual growth. So I read this one time through. I feel like I need to do it like with a book club or again, like probably multiple times. It just kind of breaks down like if you're an Enneagram 6, then these are spiritual disciplines that you can do and kind of like like how to get closer to God and work kind of away from your type into more like the holiness that we're supposed to be living in. So that's a great one. And then I read Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. This is like heavy nonfiction. It's written at a level that I felt like was easy to read. It's just dense. It's also awful and hard to believe. So this is the story of how America is a caste system. So like the way that if you are a male and white and rich, you are in the highest caste, and life is different for you than if you are Black and poor and female. So very, very interesting. Highly recommend this. And then I also read Killing the Killers by Bill O'Reilly. This is in his Killing series. I've read a few this year. So Killing the Killers is about terrorism and the fight against them. So it like starts with Osama bin Laden's death, and then it talks about like ISIS and like kind of where we are now. I gave this 5 stars because it was like fast moving and super interesting, and I feel like I don't know much about this right now. So like I feel like we all knew about Osama bin Laden, and I don't know if maybe just kind of became old news. So it's just very interesting what like our military is still fighting, even though we're not as concerned about it. I mean, we are, but everyday life. I think that's all my nonfiction. Nope. Oh, oof. The Making of Biblical Womanhood. I think I read this in January. This is amazing. So for anybody who feels like traditional church where women are not like respected or like they're told that they're less than, like some of the interpretations of the Bible, this is amazing because this kind of goes through and talks about how the Bible, some Bible passages have been changed by men for the message that they want to spread. I found this very interesting. I would probably read it again. It's just made me feel a lot more like understanding of Jesus, and like how he treated women was very different than the church treats women. It's a great read, really great. And not like super intellectual, like it's written at a very nice level. Then we will move on. Let's do a little fantasy. So these are both books that, my physical copies at least, are both like seconds in series. So you've probably heard me talk about the Grishaverse and how much I love Shadow and Bone. So Shadow and Bone is 3 books, and then it's Six of Crows is a duology, and King of Scars is a duology. So this is the second in the duology of King of Scars. So same like overall storyline, the characters like weave together. This was great. It was very dense, but I loved it. I just love this universe so much. I would read really anything about these characters, and I loved how this like brought back characters that we thought we were never going to see again. It was like redemption, but also kind of left it open. Like I feel like we could see more. I would love more. And then God's Grave. This is the sequel to Nevernight, which I think I gave 4 stars to. So in Nevernight, Mia is trained as an assassin in I think it's the Red Church. Yes, the Red Church. She is working on revenge for her family. And this is the second book. Something major happened in the first book, like lots of major things. And now in the second book, we're following the storyline. I can't give much away, but gladiators. Good. Great twist at the end. So good. And then more fantasy. The Diviners. I read this whole series this year. So I think it was 4 books. The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is about like 1920s flappers, but they have like magical powers, and there's something evil coming. They have to fight it. And they're flappers and they say really fun things. So yeah, this one was 5 stars. I think the rest I gave like 3 or 4 stars too. I really, really liked the series overall. They're pretty like hefty books, but they read well. They're YA, so not too heavy. But love those. I feel like that. Okay, I think that's it for fantasy. Then I have some mystery thriller. I have The Hawthorne Legacy and The Final Gambit. So these are the sequels to the Inheritance games, which I'm going to tell you a little secret right now. That won one of the months. So every book in this series is 5 stars. So, and they're releasing another one. It's not like in the series, I think. I think it's like a companion novel. I will be pre-ordering that in case you were wondering. So our main character, Riley, inherits a billionaire's estate. She does not know who he is. So she's trying to figure out how she knows him. They like to play a lot of games in this family. So it's like there's lots of treasure hunts. You get like answers to things so quickly that you don't feel like you're being like led on. Like there's just always another clue and another thing. It's so exciting. I loved these so much. Highly recommend. Then I just finished today, Stay Awake. This was my 200th book of the year. So this is by the author of Night Swim. It was great. I feel like I can't give the premise away very much. So our main character wakes up in a cab. She's got writing all over her hand that says stay awake. She doesn't remember well, she remembers like answering her phone at the office, which turns out to be 2 years ago. And I can't tell you anymore. But I read this in like 2 sittings. It was good. It was fast moving. I love the premise. I liked the characters. I thought it was plausible. Very good. Megan Golden. 2 for 2 right now. Both 5 stars. And then okay. Yep. The Overnight Guest. This was good. Heather Gudenkopf. I think I've read almost everything that she's written. Love them all. This was an audiobook that I listened to. It was such a good audiobook. I like didn't know what it was about, started it, and I don't think I like ever stopped. Like I just kept turning it on and just like sitting in my living room listening to it. So the audiobook reader was also good. Maybe don't read this like during a blizzard. I think that would have freaked me out a little bit. But basically our main character is like stuck in a blizzard, finds a woman from an accident, has to figure out who she is. There's a child. There's a murderer. It was so good. I don't want to give the plot away. So good. Then I have the Mindfuck series, which the word's getting out because people keep asking me to borrow this. This is so good. The main character is a serial killer that is doing revenge killings. And then she falls in love with an FBI agent. So good. So this is 5 books in one. They're all so the 5 books all add up to this much. So it seems really big, but they're 5 books. They're so fast moving. I think it was self-published. Very sadly, the author has passed away, so I can't read anything else. But so good. It reminded me of like Criminal Minds, but like you're weirdly rooting for the person that's doing the killing. So good. All right. I think that's it for... I think that's it for the thriller genre. Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. Some things I don't know how to put them in genres, you know? Like, it's just fiction. But then that feels like a cop-out. I guess that's where you say it's... What do they even call that? It's like current. I don't know. All right. My most read genre, my most loved genre this year was romance. So much romance. So these all got 5 stars. And then these are the ones that didn't win their month. So, The Dead Romantics. Girl thinks she's in love with someone. He's dead. She sees ghosts. She's at her dad's funeral. He shows up. So good. It was so good. I loved it. It was funny. At least I remember it being funny. Yeah, I think it was funny. It was like gallows humor. It was pretty short, like a cute little, like, if you were looking for something to pick up around Halloween, this is a cute romance for Halloween. Ghosts need romance too. 7 Days in June. This is not at all what I expected it to be. I thought it was like historical fiction. This is like current culture. I don't know what we call that. All I can think of is the word current. Today. Anyway. Our main characters are both authors. They are reunited at a book signing, but they also have a past together. So it's like 7 current days, 7 days in the past. I read it in one sitting. It was so good. And the characters were so well written. Drama. Loved it. And then I have the first 2 of The Summer I Turned Pretty. So these are by Jenny Han, the writer of To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which I also loved. So these I feel like, are they the best books in the whole world? No, but they made me feel good. They were exactly what I wanted. I read them in the summer. They're just like summer nostalgia, first love, like that feeling of being a teenager. They read so quickly. The third one did like a time jump, and it just seemed a little bit less like plausible. I don't, or like out of character. I just didn't love it. I think I still gave it like 4 stars maybe, but these were both 5 stars. They were exactly what I wanted and needed. So the main character, her name is Isabella, it goes by Belly. And so she has, her mom's friend has a summer house that they go to every year and spend the whole summer there. So the summer she turns pretty. It's suddenly like possible that she might get with these brothers that she's grown up with. And yeah, she kind of gets with both, which I don't love that part, but it's cute. Young love. Oof, gosh, I love this book so much. How did this book not win its month? This one's so good. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I read this in one sitting. It was so good. I just loved it. I remember why. Okay, so there was just another romance that was like slightly better, like 5.5 stars. But this one was amazing. So our main character is the maid of honor in her wedding, hates the best man. Sorry, her sister's wedding. She hates the best man. They have never gotten along because he's in love with her. Maybe. Who knows? And everyone in the wedding party gets sick except for these two. So they go on the honeymoon. And there's some steamy scenes. There's some banter. It's just so good. I love this one. I will probably read it again because I've loved it so much. Speaking of sex, so Neon Gods, this is the first of the, what do they call these? I don't know. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling. And Gods of Olympus? Something like that. So Hades and Persephone retelling. It's steamy. It's very steamy. So the plot was good. The steam was better. And I loved it. I think I read it all in one sitting. So 5 stars. I didn't like Electric Heart as much, but would still read more. So Neon Gods. Spicy. Then I have Ugly Love. This is a Colleen Hoover book. So another Colleen Hoover book that is a love story, but it's also like, I can't give away the plot. So there's these two people that are like in love, but there's like something kind of holding them up. And then she finds out what it is. It's such a good story. I loved, like I ugly cried at the end. So I think that's why they call it Ugly Love, because you ugly cry. And then I read What You Wish For by Catherine Center. I have only given her books, I think, 4s and 5s. I love her writing. So the main character is a librarian, which was a super fun, like, point of view. So she's a librarian and she leaves a school that she used to work at because of some, like, unrequited love. And then that guy that she was in love with comes to be the principal at her new school. But he's very different, very traumatized by something that has happened to him. So yeah, so good. I love this one. It was like, I feel like her books have like deeper themes, but the romance is so good. So highly recommend Catherine Center. All right, now month by month. So those were just the 5 stars. The winner of the month. So January was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. Sorry, I have to readjust because my leg is asleep and my dog is sleeping on me. I don't know if that's better. Ugh. So this is the second in a series with 3 books. The first is A Darker Shade of Magic. And that book I felt like did a lot of world building. And it was like building, but it wasn't my favorite. This one was amazing. Like love story, like magic, Olympics, and like drama. Oh, it was so good. So good. I just highly recommend if you like fantasy. So good. And then I had, so my book that beat out The Unhoneymooners is The Love Hypothesis, which, gosh, this is just one of my favorite books ever. So this is written by Allie Hazelwood. The main character is, my foot is asleep. Oh God, it feels so bad. So sorry. This is dramatic. So our main character is like socially awkward, and she, like, people are trying to set her up on a blind date with someone, and so she's trying to act like she has something to do in her life, and so she just grabs the closest guy next to her at the lab and kisses him, and it happens to be this super steamy, super grumpy, like, scientist who's very talented and very, very pretty. So she thinks that he hates her. Guess where that turns out? They start fake dating. So good. It's so good. I will probably reread that book. I might have even read it. I think I stayed up until 2 a.m. reading it. It was so good. So good. My March winner was Never Seen. So this, I don't even remember which, it might be like book 4 in The Keeper of the Lost Cities. So this is the story of a girl named Sophie who is raised by humans, but she's always been very different. And then she finds out that she's an elf, but she's also very different from elves because she was like genetically enhanced to save the world. This one was great. I very much recommend this series. It's middle grade. There's a lot of books and there's a lot of words, but they are easy to read. And this one I just thought was the best. The plot moved the quickest. I was very interested in what was happening. It was real good. And then I have The Inheritance Games. This is my April win. So I already talked about like the plot, but this was the first one. It was so good. So good. So the rest of the series held up to the hype as well. And then I had a tie, and these are not anywhere near the same. So Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So this is a romance about a woman who is always like, she's described as the character in the Hallmark movie that you leave. She's the city girlfriend that you leave for your farm girlfriend. And I laughed out loud when I read that. I love Emily Henry. I don't really feel like she can do wrong. It was great. I loved it. I feel like this one hasn't been reviewed as well, like overall, but I really liked it. So this got 5 stars and won the month for me. Well, it tied with a very different genre book, etc. This is The Only Plane in the Sky. It's an oral history of 9/11. This made me cry so many times. I cannot fathom like being involved in 9/11. I watched it. I was a freshman in high school. Obviously, like, I can like remember where I was, all those things, like when I found out about it. But actually hearing like these are like oral history of what happened. So it's like it starts with like a photographer talking about the weather the day before, and then and then it's people saying that how their commute went to work, and like people that are saying like, I didn't go to work because of this or that. People who survive, people whose family members are talking about them not surviving, like watching people jump from the building. It's so awful. And then it also talks about like the rescue attempts, which I feel like I did not know about. Like, so all of the rescue attempts, getting people out of New York. It talks about like President Bush. It talks about like the Situation Room and how everybody had to be like evacuated from the White House because they thought they were going to be next. I feel like this should be like required high school reading. It was so good. And I just like the fact that it's like first person interviews, but like put together to tell a story was just so amazing. Like 10 out of 5 stars, really, is what I would say. I wish more people knew about this book. It is so good. So again, very different vibe than Book Lovers. And then for June, I read True Biz. So this was one of my book of the month books. You're so weird. So this is, stop. She won't leave me alone. So this is the story of a deaf school. It's from multiple perspectives. So it's a girl whose parents tried to make her hearing her whole life. So she has like a cochlear implant that doesn't work. And because they wouldn't let her like sign and learn sign language, she can't really like communicate with anyone. So she's like at a deaf school for the first time. And then there's a child who is basically like deaf royalty in this school, and then a teacher, well, the principal. And there's like little like handouts that are supposed to be, I think Charlie's our girl character. So there's handouts that are supposed to be like things that she's learning, but it's just so interesting. There's a lot about deaf culture that I did not know. Just, I loved the story. I loved what I could learn. It was such a well done story. So 5 stars, just like everybody else here. And then for July, this is going to seem like a very strange theme. The Hacienda, this is a horror. So I think I did like Halloween in July or whatever, like it was like a readathon that I did. So this was very good. So our main character, her father was killed in the Mexican Revolution, I believe. And she like kind of like to save her mother and herself from being destitute, she marries someone wealthy. She goes to their hacienda, and he kind of travels for work, so he kind of leaves her there. This house is like trying to kill her. It's haunted. It kept me on my toes. It's so good. I loved the character. There's like a little bit of a romance, like a forbidden romance. It was so good. So good. And then for August, I read The Deal by Elle Kennedy. So this is the first of the off-campus series. This is about like hockey players falling in love. So our 2 main characters make a deal. They like fake date, but like he fake dates her to try to get the attention of, I think, a football player. And she fake dates him, like her, in exchange for that, she tutors him so that he can keep playing hockey. I read this in one sitting. Steamy, good. Loved the couples. And the rest of the series is really good. Not as good as this one though. So good. Then for September, I was going to try to read this book in the summer, and I kept getting it pushed off. But I'm so glad that I didn't wait until next summer. This was so good. So good. So our main character is Persephone. I think she goes by Percy. She went to her summer home every year with these brothers. This was my theme for the summer. Like, oh, well, let's date 2 brothers. So there is it goes summer by summer in the past, and then it also does this summer, and you're trying to figure out like why she doesn't speak to these brothers. What's wrong? She's going back for the brother's mom's funeral, and she is still very much in love with the one brother. So you find out like what went wrong. There's current undertones. It was so good. I really love this one. Please read this summer. It was so good. And then for October, I had a tie. I'm a little bit annoyed that I waited so long to read An Unkindness of Magicians. So this was recommended to me by a booktuber, and I've honestly never heard a single other person talk about it. But I love fantasy. I love magicians. This is just a standalone. I really wish that there was more. I would read a whole series about this. So once normally generation, magic has to be renewed. And in order to renew the magic, the magicians like basically have fights to the death, like duels, and it renews their magic. And it also declares like who is in charge of the magic until the next one. So this starts like messy because it's happening earlier than it normally does. Families are falling out. Like there's a lot of power shifting. It's so good. I loved it. So good. So if you like magicians and fantasy, this one's for you. It's very good. It's very dark. Speaking of darkness, my best friend's exorcism. So I have found out that I do love Grady Hendrix, And this, I was told that it's like Stranger Things vibes. 100%. Friendship. Friendship wins. This is a dark book. It is gross. But yeah, our friend there's a demon inside her. So this, yeah, I loved it. I don't really know what else to say about it. If you like horror and Stranger Things and being a little bit scared but 80s friendship, this is for you. November. The One. I put this one off as well. This is one that I only have seen on a couple of booktubers like recommendations. This is a thriller. I would call this a thriller. So you can be matched with your perfect one through DNA. And that seems like a really good idea until one of you is a serial killer or one of you dies. So there's just like all these different storylines. So interesting. I loved it. I loved it a whole lot. So the plot is amazing. Really kept me guessing. And just so many like ethical questions, right? Like, would you, if you were married and you had the chance to find out your soulmate, would you do it? Do you like test your spouse and see if they're the one? Or do you try to live in oblivion and just know that like there could be something better out there? That would be so hard, right? Such a hard decision. So good. And then for December, so this is super fresh, very thematic, Faking Under the Mistletoe. This was a delight. Just an absolute delight. Grumpy Sunshine Romance. Our main character is super into Christmas, super festive. There is also like a cover-up about like sexual harassment happening at their office. So there's like something else happening besides Christmas cheer. It's steamy in parts. Loved the romance, loved the characters. Loved it. Loved it. All right. I don't know how to pick. How am I supposed to pick? So yeah, like best romance, best seasonal. Best seasonal. You win. I don't know, man. Best horror. Nope, I don't know. Because it could also be The Hacienda. Okay. Just purely the book that I think should win because it's the best. Most well written, like feels life-changing. The Only Plane in the Sky. This is my winner. It was such a good read. Loved it so much. Best book of 2022. And then if I picked like just I don't know, like I feel like this might be like my next like most recommended. So good. So you got your heavy book, your light book, but also a little heavy. So yeah, Only Plane in the Sky, best book of 2022. 200 books. I hope that in this pile you found something new that you would like to read. It was a really great year. There was a lot of 5-star books. And I feel like they held up. Like 12 months later, I still would recommend them. These are great books. So, yeah. Yay! 2023. Really only a few hours away now. So I will see you in the new year when I do like a book haul / January wrap up, whatever one comes first.